I did.
We're live. I think so. Wow, we already got a comment. Timing of live is difficult to adopt for Indians. What time is it in India right now? Rishab, do you know?
Um, it's super early. I know that for sure. Oh, it's 5:30 a.m.
I had it playing and then it like repeated in my, it echoed in my, um, it's like 5:30 in the morning.
Yep.
It's hard. It's hard. I think we might, if we do like two, I was thinking let's start off doing like 2 a month.
Hmm.
Maybe we'll do one at this time and then we'll do maybe something, it would have to be like later or earlier or something like that. I don't know. Well, maybe we'll do a poll or something.
Yeah.
It's just going to be
Okay.
impossible to get like like to be able to cover absolutely everyone. But yeah,
Hmm.
I promised people we cloud chat. We have no agenda. We have no format. We literally just here to answer absolutely every single question you have or point you in the right direction. Certifications, languages, tech stacks, money, interviewing, negotiation. We've been through it all. So we're here to provide knowledge, right?
For sure.
Boris is always first, right?
Hey,
Rishab did
Boris.
eat. He did eat dinner before deciding to stream. So, but yeah, hi Boris. Afri, hey, thanks for being here. Hi, how are you doing? We got Daniel here. What's up, cloud pursuers of? What's up, cloud pursuers of cloud? Daniel, hello. I like that. I like that. But yeah, Rishab, how are you doing? How's your week been? What have you been working on? How was that
Um,
AWS outage for you?
Not good. But yeah, at the end, it was not something that we could do internally. Some of our services relied on some APIs that were apparently they used pretty clever wording when it comes to outages. So
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact word, but yeah,
Well, like it wasn't an outage.
yeah, it's pretty clever how they word it. I think yeah, they did something clever, but yeah, it sounds more of like more professional and more sophisticated, I guess. It doesn't sound like an outage.
What was
But
it
yeah,
like? What downtime? Something like that?
no, no, no. I was way off from like any of the terms that we are familiar with that can wake me up in the sleep. Um, but yeah, anyways, yeah, I think it lasted for us for around 2 hours. Uh,
Were
we
people
do host,
going crazy?
yeah, we do host in North Virginia, so that's the downside of hosting in Virginia, I guess.
Damn. Shout out
Yeah.
Virginia. IP Foe says hola. Hi, how you doing? Boris says my mission is accomplished. Then Reed says what's up? What's up? Hi everyone. Let us know if the AWS. I guess I keep saying outage. I don't know what the right term is. I'm sorry. I don't mean to like knock y'all. But if it impacted y'all, and if so, how? We have Michael here. Hey, I'm here to cloud. Yeah, we're all here to cloud. We love it. How's my week been? I can't even. Oh, I did a conference that was based in Ecuador, which is like fantastic. I did some .NET 6 isolated, some Azure Functions, some Azure Cosmos DB, some Azure Static Web App stuff.
Nice.
Loved it, and I literally figured it out maybe like 2 hours before the demo, and then I was like throwing the slides together so fast. I'm like, that's the thing, like when you like make content, you do stuff like that. It's always like, it's not always last minute, but you're
Yeah.
always like, you're already like right now. I'm already prepping for stuff that's gonna happen like in a month, in 2 months. So
Hmm.
then the stuff that you have immediately going on like next week, you kind of like forget, and then like a couple days before, you're like, oh yeah, I have to do that thing. Like let me make sure it's working.
Yeah.
My goal now is to like build on that demo that I have, and sort of like any new technology that I want to showcase, I want to incorporate it into that demo already. That way it's more like I don't have to build something new. I just
Okay.
have to like sort of add on features to that, right? And I
Nice.
think ultimately I want to piece apart that project and then turn it into something that other people can build. Right now I'm just working on the infrastructure as code part with Bicep, and then it'll be a full-on project that people can like deploy on their own. If it's more of like Azure developer right now, like
Nice.
but yeah, we'll see how that goes. I came across and signed up for Microsoft Learning Training Platform. Question: have you tried the platform, and what is your opinion on it? We've both used Microsoft Learn. I think it's fantastic. There's, again, I'm biased, but I think it's fantastic. I've used it when I was learning Azure from scratch. So that was like 3-4 years ago, I used Azure documentation and then Microsoft Learn to learn literally every single thing. I don't think I purchased anything when it came specific to Azure. I love how like for each certification there's like outlined learning paths and stuff like that. A lot of them have sandboxes so you can get hands-on and things like that. Rishab, I know you also have more experience with studying for certifications with Microsoft Learn. So what's your opinion?
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I'm a huge advocate of it too when it comes to practical experience too. They have a lot of labs, and good thing about it is that they're like sandboxed into your Learn account, so you don't have to add credit cards and stuff, which in most cases you have to if you want to have a personal account, let's say for Azure, which is a really good thing. Like there's not that limiting factor when it comes to learning Azure, I guess, through Microsoft Learn,
Yeah.
and it's for free. So
And like once you get certified once, recertification is free, and they're committed to providing all the content that you need right into Microsoft Learn. I personally know how much work the team does. Like I feel like every single week there's like something new that they're adding, like all these curriculums and stuff like that. So it's fantastic. I see there's a bunch of people using MS Learn is great. Microsoft Learn has been awesome. Yeah, I was using it for an introduction to Rust. I'm now using it to learn Bicep.
oh yeah,
So it's like fantastic.
yeah,
Sure.
it's not only for like
Oh yeah,
Azure stuff. They do have. I learned Python through it, so
yeah. I think that's one thing that people like don't know, that it's not just specific to Microsoft technologies.
yeah.
It's literally anything that you can use with Microsoft technology. So like whether that be platform, whether it be 365, Azure, whatever it is. And there's so much on there. There's like, I would recommend your first step is to go get like some sort of content from there, even if it's like an introduction, and then go like deeper, because it's, it's free and it's made by people who do these, like they're dedicated every single day to create the best, like that's their job. So obviously they're going to put in a lot of work, right?
For sure.
Someone said here, shirt felt like an outage. Oh, Boris said degradation. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Okay.
Degradation in API is something, and I'm
Okay.
like, oh my god, just say you can't use the API. Right?
The AWS impacted my company for a little, not me alone. I'm just a customer support specialist in training. That's a great area to start. Rishab and I are big fans of starting in support, moving our way up. So it's you're gonna learn a lot there. When you're like frontline with support, you're going to learn so much there. So it's a great place to start. Studying for my AZ700. That's the networking one, right? Yeah. Planning to take it this Friday. How's it been? How long have you been studying for that one? I'm really, really interested. And I think we discussed that I wanted to do like a 25 days of like starting December 1st to the 25th, like study for certification. But obviously I didn't do that. But like, I'm curious, is like, how hard is it? What's like your background with networking?
The urge to sit the exam.
Yeah, the urge to sit an exam. I haven't taken a certification since my Linux Essentials, which was the beginning of this year, and I'm just itching to take one because, hands-on is great and stuff like that. But certifications have their place, but I feel like with certifications, it's like you're sitting down and you know what you have to study for like a good amount of time, and then you pass it, and like it really gets you into that studying mode, right? Which sometimes I miss, right? Experimenting, getting hands-on, trying new things, and all that is like fun too. But sometimes just like that guided learning is like what's missing.
For sure.
Sandbox is priceless, absolutely. Like not spending anything. Come on. I have like this $150 credit on one of my subscriptions, and I was using it to like play around with Nextcloud. And I think I've probably been doing like stuff for like maybe a week, and I've already gone through like $60. Just like messing around with different VM sizes, different configurations and stuff like that. Yeah. That stuff's gonna go quick. Glowing Scar says hi. Hello, Glowing Scars. I'm getting hit up for mid-level cloud DevOps engineer roles. What kind of questions and topics should I be prepared to answer in interviews? Rishab, do you want to answer for like DevOps related questions? Mid-level DevOps questions.
It depends. It hugely depends on the technologies that they might have specified in the job description. But yeah, if it's mid-level, they're gonna assume you're already familiar with the fundamentals and the DevOps just in general as a practice. So yeah, I would focus on what tech stack they have for DevOps. So like some companies use Jenkins, TeamCity, some other tools, and also the language that majority of their DevOps team use. So in our case, it's mostly CloudFormation and Python, and it can vary depending on what the tools they use. One, I think there's a GitHub repo that I would recommend. I think it's called DevOps something questions. Oh, I'll share it.
Like interviewing questions?
Oh yeah, yeah. And they're based on tools too. Like you can filter it out based on tools, which is really good.
We gotta add that to the resources of the Learn to Cloud guide. In terms of cloud mid-level questions, you're definitely going to be asked about like things that you've implemented and like to speak, or maybe even whiteboard. So get like, I would say practice like whiteboarding out solutions that you've built or solutions that you've worked on, whether that be like you were administrating, talk about like tasks that you were like doing with the infrastructure, or if you help put it together, talk about like why certain things were selected. They may also ask like, oh, if you have an issue, like what would be your troubleshooting steps, like walk us through that. Let's see, what other like questions could you possibly get? I think like architecture excellence. That's probably something that you might be asked. Cloud, see, it's hard because it's like cloud is just like so generic. Like, is it like development? Is it like security? Is it like more DevOps, like you mentioned? It's kind of hard to like give you like very targeted specific questions, given that cloud is just like so general. Yeah, I'm kind of like, I would just say like make sure you have like your use cases and like things that you've built, projects that you've built like down to the T, like a couple of them like where you can explain them in and out. If you have GitHub repos and like with readmes and stuff like that, that'd be great too. I'll try to think more. Oh, it looks like you got one like a really, oh wait, sorry.
Yeah, that is
this
I don't
here.
know why that's big. So URL.
I did not know this. This is fantastic. We have to add this to the Learn to Cloud guide. But yeah, okay, we're getting a bunch of comments here. But hey, everyone in the chat, if you're new here, let us know sort of where you're checking in from, like what's your relationship with cloud? Are you trying to get into it? Are you in it? Like are you trying to switch out of it? Whatever it might be. We're really here to just chat. Azure Fundamentals free. I don't think it's free, right?
Oh, for the exam? No, but Microsoft.
Free.
Yeah, the Microsoft does a lot of virtual training sessions that you can attend, and I only see upsides. So you get free training from Microsoft instructors. I think it's 4 hours, and you also get you can sit the exam after the training for free. Otherwise, it's $99 US, I think.
Oftentimes we do these cloud skills challenges as well. I feel like we do those all the time, where once you complete whatever material they're telling you to complete, you'll get like a voucher for a certain percentage off, or sometimes even free. I know I'm going to start to leverage those with the series that I do with the Microsoft Reactor sometime next year. So stay posted for that. Like any opportunities I get to give discounts for certifications, I'm gonna do that. So stay posted, like on my YouTube and Twitter and stuff like that.
Yeah, and look out for Ignite. So cloud skills, most of the time on Ignite you would have. This time they had like 10 certifications that you can sit for free if you completed one of the cloud skills. And I just got mine last week. So
what are you gonna do?
I'm thinking AZ700.
I want to do dude. What if we put together like a study group or something? Like, because like Scooter was telling me, Scooter Phoenix or Angela Andrews, solutions architect at Red Hat, said that she had a study buddy to study for one of the AWS certifications.
Nice.
And I think it was a couple of weeks or a month or something like that, they would check in a couple times a week and they would just study on a call, right? I figured if we could sort of put something together like that for certification,
and jump on a stream and discuss.
Jump on a stream and just a couple hours study, like a week or something like that. I think that would be fantastic.
I'll be down.
We'll figure it out. Any idea when we'll start to see export as Bicep temples instead of JSON? I know there's a compiler, but if Microsoft wants to push Bicep, it seems like the best way. I don't know. Contrary to popular belief, I don't have insight into absolutely everything going on at Microsoft. But I would be shocked if this wasn't already in the works, right? I wouldn't necessarily say that we're pushing Bicep because things like Terraform and other tools that are used for infrastructure as code are like, the goal is to always like support them to the best ability on Azure. But I would say if you work with ARM, then Bicep is like I would say like it makes everything better. So I'd be surprised if they're not working for this, but I just don't know the exact date or anything like that. But I'm sure this is like in the works. Bicep is great, by the way. Rishab, if you haven't given it a try, I would say give it a try. All right. So then regarding architecture solutions, how can I implement what I learn on the platform and create portfolio projects to demonstrate experience? Okay, so when it comes to, so we have a couple of projects listed in the learn to cloud.guide. So if you go to learn to cloud.guide, there's a phase there that's specific to cloud platform, and there's a couple of projects there. Your best bet is to start with the cloud resume challenge and then do the Azure resume challenge. Do those two. That way you have the same project implemented in different clouds. And the benefit to doing those projects is you're going to be covering a bunch of services, and you cover like you do some programming, not very much, but you do some programming, you do some serverless, you do some like CDN. So I would say that's somewhat networking, like covering networking. You do some database stuff, you do some testing, you do some DevOps stuff with CI/CD and GitHub. So do those projects first. And like, that's going to take you a good time. So that's a great start. Like, I think, how long did it take? Did you do the whole thing? The resume challenge?
Yeah.
Or one of them? How long did it take you?
For the Azure one, it took me somewhere around 2 to 3 weeks because I was stuck on that Cosmos. Yeah, and I waited for your video to come out.
It took me maybe like a week of every day just working, but I was working full time on this thing to implement it, and then it took me like another week to piece together the video. And I have a video on there out there. If you look for the A Cloud Guru YouTube and you look for Azure Resume Challenge, it's like a 2-hour video where I cover the entire thing. I go through absolutely everything that you need to do to implement it. But that is a solid project for you to get started.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And then in terms of like, so then regarding solutions architecture, how can I implement what I learned on the platform I create? Well, you could also do like, so because of the platform, and we're talking about Microsoft Learn, I think, gives you like these exercises. What you can also do is sort of like just implement them on your own, because sometimes they do provide you stuff that's already existing. So because they're like, the content is like a little bit more focused on like a different thing. But if you go ahead and implement the whole thing on your own, and then what you should do is like create little diagrams, like, go on to, I use Figma to create like my architecture diagrams, but you can use like a bunch of different, like, I think we've used what's the other one? Excelia Draw or something like that.
Xcali Draw?
Xcali Draw. That's another one that you can use.
And then there's diagrams.net or draw.io, I think.
Yes, there's a bunch of like free diagramming tools that you can use out there. So create those for each one that you have, and then create a README for your repo where you explain like what each step, what technology, how you can run it locally and stuff like that. It isn't necessarily about like how difficult the projects that you are implementing. It's more about like your ability to communicate them to, people that are asking, interviewing, stuff like that, right? So I hope that provides some sort of guidance. Cloud will run your pockets. Heck yeah. Especially if you're not careful. Luckily I have like credits and stuff like that, but it'll
I've set my budgets at $10.
Oh, I started at like and then I'm always like, all right, at 25%, at 50%, because remember, any cloud platform, whatever budgets you have, it's not real time. Sometimes you can get up to like a couple of days. So like that's why I'm setting it like 25%, 50%, because I want to be in the know. There's no way I'm losing money. Do you not get a free subscription working with Microsoft? We get a monthly credit for like personal projects, and then anything that we implement for like work, we have like different subscriptions and things like that. So we don't end up paying for anything that we do when it comes to like showcasing stuff for work itself. But then we also have a credit for like personal projects. It's been really solid. I started studying when it went live for beta. It's the AZ700 is kind of new, right?
Yeah. It was in beta, and then I think 2 months or last month it came out like as an exam. Yeah.
But then they added more content before I was ready. So reviewing all the new stuff, background is networking. Oh, nice. Okay, so you should be somewhat comfortable. I know the Net Plus is pretty hard, I've heard. CCNA, if you pass that, then I think you're pretty solid. Because that's like an extensive networking certification.
For sure.
That's what I'm like sort of jealous when it comes to like security certifications and networking certifications, and to some extent like the Linux, like the Red Hat certifications, they're like really well respected when it comes to like having them on your resume. Like if you have that, like, oh, this person does know them. Whereas like it's not that the cloud ones aren't, it's just like they have like less weight on your resume.
I think because how broad those exams are, like especially the CCNA and like their Red Hat, I don't know, certified engineer, I think it's called. Like they're really broad, and that's why they're well respected.
The Red Hat one is like labs. Does it have labs? I don't know. I know the Linux Foundation one is all lab based, and then you can choose between like which distro you want to use. I'm pretty sure the Red Hat one is like similar. I know a lot of the networking ones are pretty similar too. I would love to see like cloud certifications shift to more of like lab based. I know there's a lot more like use case scenarios and like I guess business case scenarios now versus just like pure multiple choice. But I don't know. I guess we'll see where it goes. I work with SCCM and PowerShell. I do not know what SCCM. I have to Google that. And PowerShell. What can I do to take the leap to cloud? Maybe working with functions and serverless because companies always ask someone with experience. All right. So if you know PowerShell, hold on. I have to Google. Are you gonna Google SCCM?
Yeah, Microsoft's System Center Configuration Manager.
Okay, so I'm assuming that's like...
It's a Windows product that enables the management, deployment, and security of devices and applications across enterprise.
Okay, so it's like imaging stuff? So to an extent,
so.
like making sure like applications are available to all machines on a domain and things like that? All right, so if you have that kind of... So let's say it's like somewhat configuration management, right? Plus PowerShell. If your PowerShell skills are like really good, you can get into like automating cloud infrastructure or tasks and things like that, administration. Something like cloud admin might be like a more accessible leap than maybe like, I don't know, DevOps or what. Not to say that you can't do it. I'm just saying like if you have already this skill set, you could probably like adapt it into like something like cloud administration. If you go to learn2cloud.guide, let's put a banner up. Do we have a banner? We might have. Here we go. We have sort of like laid out the phases that we think are like the skills that we think most people need who want to like jump into cloud. So like a junior cloud engineer kind of skill set and kind of like look through that and see like what you're missing and like just build on those skills, right? But if you already have like PowerShell skill set, you have like, I think you're going to, and like some Windows skill set, I think you're going to pick up Azure like pretty well. There's like plenty of space for like cloud administration skills that out there. So take a look at that. You brought up this here. All right, here we go. Do you think it's harder to get a role with AWS and Azure because of a lot of people want to get into the career? Do you think GPS will be a good start? I don't understand that last part.
I think you meant GCP.
Yeah. Do you mean GCP? So I don't think any of them are harder than... I think just cloud is in demand, right? In terms of which one to learn or which one might be like better, I guess it really depends on which roles are more available to you, which one you have like a better opportunity. I don't necessarily think any of them are harder to learn than the other. I don't know. You've used all three, right?
Yeah, and most of the times companies are flexible when it comes to like, let's say you picked AWS. Like I have interviewed for jobs where the companies were using Azure and they're fine because the concepts are really similar. It's just a platform that you need to like get your way around. And most of the time if you're working in DevOps, you won't be looking at the portal a lot. Most of it would be like infrastructure is as code and all of the other stuff is done through pipelines and stuff. So yeah, most of the companies, at least that I have interviewed, they're really flexible when it comes to picking a cloud. So like if I am an AWS user, they are fine even if they use GCP or Azure. And haven't been worked with all three, I don't think there's a lot of difference. The concepts themselves are same. The names might change of services, but otherwise it's basically same.
I think maybe the biggest difference I've noticed is like project organization. Like Google has projects. I think they're called projects.
Yeah.
And Azure has resource groups. And then obviously all of them have subscriptions, right? But like down to the subscription levels, like how do you organize your like, I guess solutions together? So yeah, Azure will have resource groups. Google has projects. I personally, Google is like my favorite, the way it organizes things. Yeah. And then AWS has...
Nothing
close
to nothing. But if someone is aware about AWS having something similar, please comment it in the chat. It'll make my life easier.
Yeah, and I mean, what we're trying to get at is if you know one well, those skills will like transfer. Like I knew like I had studied a lot for AWS and then landed my Azure role because the questions were asked were more of like, all right, so like you can respond in like Azure terms, but like sort of like, tell us how you would figure this kind of thing out, right? and they just know that like you can if you're good at what you do and you know what you're talking about, you can like figure it out.
Yeah.
We have here app, gateway, load balancers, front door, etc. have been the biggest learning curve since I've never dealt with app delivery in my current role. Yeah, I think, and I also think like that's hard. That's hard when it comes to like getting hands on. Is like having an app that you can work with, because I know a lot of people are like, I have no interest in like coding or making my own application,
Yeah.
but I need to know how to like administrate it, how to like make pipelines around it and stuff like that. Which is why we like the Cloud Resume Challenge or even like a simple static site or something like that.
Yeah. And I think like pick anything that's already templated when it comes to like a web project or a static page, and just like work your way around it if you're not interested in like web development and stuff.
Yeah.
For load balancers, I think I did one. But yeah, I'll share. It's specific to AWS, but it's a pretty good demo. I did it for sysops exam.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I know those technologies can get hard, especially if you haven't like worked on architecture of an app before.
Yeah, absolutely. And Will says, thank you for mentioning customer support being a great place to start. I got the job based on advice both of you gave. 1 to 2 hours of study a day, planning on becoming an engineer in 2023. That's the way to do it. Put your time in support, learn as much as you can, talk to as many people as you can, really document all your tickets and stuff like that, and practice like your scenarios. Like one thing I think back at like my help desk role or my support role is like if I would have like I feel like there were situations or experiences where like during that time I would have been like this is such an amazing thing to just like sit down and write down, because when I'm interviewing I could like bring it up, and whereas what actually ended up happening was like I would interview and like last minute I'd be like, oh, what can I talk about, whereas if I was like prepared and had like these scenarios already kind of like thought out, it would have been a lot easier to talk about them.
Yeah, document your wins.
Yeah,
Even
definitely do that.
if your role is not like relevant to what you're looking in the future, there always is some scenario that will help.
Absolutely, keep them in mind. Write them down somewhere. Or, I don't know, start a blog or something. Doesn't really matter. What up, y'all? I'm growing my wings now too. I see my wings. Gadge. I don't know what that means. I guess cloud wings, maybe. That would be dope. You should do it, and we pass the same. Oh yeah, that's right. So again, Scooter mentioning about the study groups. Yeah, and they passed. And the thing is, like, it's like if there's like two of us or there's multiple of us, however we decide to do it, it's like we almost have to show up. It's like, oh, I don't want to study today, but like Gwen is expecting me, Rishab is expecting me. Like I kind of have to show up for them. Like, and it's like the sense of community, right? It's very, very important.
Yep.
Oh, here we go. Transitioning the career to the cloud. Oh, okay, cool. So your wings to the cloud, to skies, I guess, something like that. That's awesome. Yeah, we're big fans of cloud, obviously. We're a little biased, right? Abdul says, hey all. Hey everyone. So chat, if y'all, everyone do me a favor and hit a like wherever you're watching this. If this is like Rishab's YouTube, my YouTube, do a like so we can get more people in there. And we're going to try to answer as many questions as we can. How to best learn AWS to DevOps engineer. Rishab, this one's on you.
Yeah, I already have a video. And there's also a video coming for what DevOps is and how you can be a DevOps engineer in like 2021, 2022. I'm still working on it, but it's about technology. So once you're familiar with the cloud, what I did personally was shadowing people. I did it when I was in help desk. I did it when I was in cloud. That's how I got in DevOps. Ask your seniors or whoever your mentors are or people, teams working in DevOps to see what kind of technology they're using and how they're able to achieve the results that the company is looking for, and start digging those tools in. So I would shadow these engineers. They would use TeamCity. I would ask questions. They would sure sound dumb in the beginning, but you'll learn a lot. And that's how I learned it. But yeah, learn CI/CD. We also have phase 4 on Learn to Cloud.
Yeah, let me
dot
pop
guide.
Again.
Yep. So DevOps fundamentals, learn terminologies and practices. They'll go a long way, because the basic DevOps as in itself is not just a technology. It's it's a bunch of practices that people follow to achieve certain solutions. So CI/CD, infrastructure as code, version control systems, um, s- somewhat of monitoring. Like it'll get bigger once you dive more, like once you're in more mid-level to senior level roles. Monitoring gets huge. But yeah, those are the 4 topics that I would think are a good start. And yeah, check out the phase 4, and I think it's a really good start. And we have also included some great resources.
Yeah.
I know one of the books that Gwen recommends is the Phoenix Project.
Oh, I love it. Love it. It's a must read. And the DevOps
Yep.
handbook. Those two sort of side by side. Yeah, I think so. You mentioned this before. Like DevOps is something that everyone implements differently. Like there are like standard practices, but sometimes there will be places that use more like not as much infrastructure as code, or maybe they're just starting to develop that. This concept of like containers and stuff like that. Like some places will use them, some places won't. Right? But this I think the ones that like is like absolutely CI/CD, even infrastructure as code, and then like version control. There's like absolute like must.
Oh yeah.
And the good thing about those is that they're also very sort of like available for you to implement on your own personal projects. And even monitoring. Like if you have like I just deployed a VM to play Nextcloud, and then I implemented some simple monitoring alerts like, oh, when the CPU hits like max this percentage for this amount of time, just like, kind of like your standard things like that, you can go ahead and implement too, right?
Yeah.
Try, deploy your blog on a VM or deploy something on a VM, and then like, try to implement monitoring. If you have some sort of personal website or you do the Cloud Resume Challenge, you're going to implement a CI/CD pipeline. You're going to learn a lot there. You're going to learn some infrastructure as code there as well. And version control, like any kind of coding that you do, any kind of scripts that you do, put them on, use Git and use GitHub, put them on there, and you'll learn version control there too, right? So it's relatively like available and straightforward. I'm not going to say it's easy because DevOps there's a lot, but you can get pretty hands-on with it with your own kind of projects too. RHCSA and RCE means you know a little something about Linux. Yeah, those sound like tough. I can't even pronounce those. Those sound like tough certifications. I know people study months, like months. I think I knew someone who studied like a year for like one of these Red Hat ones. And I know they're tough. All right, here, Scooter is the CSA is no joke. Yeah, Scooter works at Red Hat, so solutions architect at Red Hat, so she would know how tough these ones are. Yeah, I mean they're just like standard. Everyone knows like if you have that, you like if you maybe you like don't work in the field itself, but we know that you've studied and you put in the time because they're tough certifications to get through. Our HCSA and our hands-on lab of HC. See, I want all certifications to move in that direction. Just like go hands-on. And I know there's probably a lot that it would have to like change, like in terms of like certification taking technology and stuff like that. But I would love all certification starts to move to like hands-on. Any RH exam will test your I honestly think that too, which is kind of why I would like, not to say like the Linux Foundation ones are easier, but like I was like not leaning towards Red Hat because I just knew notoriously how like I'm gonna struggle. I'm gonna struggle with that one. Let's see. This one's for you, Rishab. Would you say containerization would be worth investing in learning to make more money?
Yes. If you wanna, that's where companies are going right now too. Like we don't use containers at ECI at all right now, as far as I'm aware, even being in DevOps. But when I look at job postings for DevOps engineer, yeah, most of them have containerization listed. So that is one of the things that is on my bucket list for next year, is to learn Docker and Kubernetes. And yeah, I think you should put that on your list.
Yeah, if you're like putting together a list of stuff that you want to learn now, current day, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's like no reason to not want to learn Docker and things, which is like I'm forcing myself to learn because like I'm doing a series around it sometime in February. So this break and then January I'm spending like upskilling in DevOps kind of stuff. And I know right up there it's going to be like Docker, Kubernetes, AKS, stuff like that, right? Yeah, absolutely. I started going down AWS, and naming convention was tough versus picking Azure naming conventions quickly. I think it's like naming conventions like how things
Name a service.
like the names of services, or how you name things, or what does like that mean?
Yeah, I think with if it's with services, I like everybody is on the same page. AWS goes really creative.
With the
The
names?
name doesn't, yeah, the name doesn't have anything to do what the service is most of
Yeah,
the times.
like I remember what was like that one everyone hated. Oh, Beanstalk, Elastic Beanstalk.
Yeah.
What's this? This is a YouTube video of
Oh
yours.
yeah, yeah. This is one of the demos on load balancers for AWS. I
Nice.
think, yeah, I posted it when Michael, I think, was talking about app gateways and load
Ah, yes,
balancers.
yes, 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 yes.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Everyone that's going to be in the chat, make sure to take a look at that if you're interested in that sort of. I guess that's like sysop, networking. Not really developer, not really, sort of,
No.
but yeah,
Yeah.
more like sysop networking. How can you balance studying for certs, labs, projects, and looking for a job in cloud, stuck on phone screens with recruiters? Oh goodness, yes. I think first of all, everyone goes through this, right? I think there's very few people who can like immediately sort of like finish studying, whatever that may be. Like maybe it's a boot camp, maybe it's a degree, maybe it's just like some self-taught program, and like dive into a job. We've all been through like rejection. I when I was doing this series with Chloe where we were talking about like interviewing stuff, like I told like countless like stories of how I've been like, I had a recruiter call me to just like roast my resume, just be like, this is terrible, you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have added this. It was solid feedback, but it was given in like a terrible way, and I was just like destroyed, right? So my tips for phone screens. Okay, so these are like quick, and remember that the people who are interviewing don't necessarily have the best insight into like what technology you're going to be working on or like what skill sets you really like require. They just have a list of things, right? So it's best for you to one, do your homework, research if you can, sort of figure out what they're already going to be asking for. Make sure you're confident when you're answering those kind of like questions. They'll be like, hey, do you have experience with this? Be honest, right? If you don't have any experience with like anything that they've told you, that might be a rough call. But if you do, like, be able to like speak to it, right? If they're like, "Hey, do you have experience? I don't know, developing with JavaScript?" You'd be like, "Yeah, I've done this," right? So it's like be confident because think of like your phone screen as like an elevator pitch. You really don't have that much time, or like I guess have a chance to like really sell yourself. So make sure you speak confidently. And these things, I tell people all the time, you have to practice. These things are practice, practice, practice.
Yep.
Be at home, talk to yourself, talk to someone else. Maybe there's a friend that can help you out, but like it's like you're sort of like giving the pitch of yourself, like why you deserve to get the next step. So practice, be comfortable, have those scenarios, have those things that you can speak of. In terms of how can you balance studying for certifications, labs, projects, and looking for a job in cloud. So for me, it was when I was studying for certifications, I would sort of just be in like certification mode because I can't like balance multiple things. Like I'll be like, all right, I'm going to study for certification this month, and I'll just do that for every like other day or every day. With me, it's like I'll spend hours every day just like studying kind of thing. Once I'm done with that, once I pass that, then I'll move into more like projects. But when I do projects, I like kind of like I like implement them, but then I also document them and I make videos and stuff like that around them. So it's like quite the thing. It's on its own, right? And that like project and labs are kind of like I would say the same thing. Looking for a job is a hard one because like with that comes rejection, and then rejection will kind of like make you feel like like bad, and then maybe you end up not studying because you feel bad and that kind of stuff too. Like push through it. Like you to some extent you need some discipline to like keep on track after that no, because at some one point you're gonna get a yes, you're gonna get an interview, you're gonna land something, and it's gonna work out, right? But it's never gonna work out if you stop, right? This is why I'm also like such a big fan of having jobs like help desk, support, entry level tech jobs, because you can maintain those while I was doing stuff on the like you maintain an income while like looking for what your next step is, and it's a lot less stressful when you already have an income. I understand for some people it's not like really doable, but for me it's like I had my day job, and then in the afternoon I would either spend like studying, doing some sort of project, or I would spend time interviewing, working on my resume, stuff like that. Sometimes I would have to like push off an interview or push off even looking for jobs to like later. Like I was like, I can't look for a job now because I really have to study and I really have to do this and like sort of like beef up my resume, but maybe I can do it next month, and this month I'm dedicated on this, right? I don't think I could have managed doing like Monday study, Tuesday labs, Wednesday resume, Thursday call, Friday interview. I don't think I could have done that, because then you got to
Yeah.
sort of think like interviewing prep is a lot. Like especially if you have like a technical
No, for
interview, then
sure.
you have like leak code projects and like leak code exercises and stuff like that. You have to practice. I think it's all just like give yourself time and like be patient with yourself, because like it's very few people that instantly just like call up, hey, I want a job. Like, yeah, we'll give you a job. Like that's like, I mean, that's my experience really. I don't know if you have anything to add here in terms of like balance or phone
No, I
screens with
think
recruiters.
um yeah, yeah, you have covered it pretty well. The only thing I hate is being ghosted by recruiters. So
Yeah, the relationship with people getting into tech or people who work in tech with the recruiters is always like either it's been great or it's been absolutely terrible.
mhm.
I like to maintain the mindset that they're there to get us hired because
Yeah.
ultimately that's their job. But again, because it's their job, they kind of want to be like, oh, like this person's better. Let me like just go to this person. Oh, this person's even better. Let me go here. And then they won't provide any feedback or any like next steps and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Try to not take it personal.
Yeah.
Also, try to not like romanticize jobs. Chloe used to say this too. It's like you don't you like you get like so like I want this job, I want this job, I want this job, and you like sort of forget to apply to other ones. And then it's like, well, you're kind of putting all your eggs in a basket, and when you if you do get rejected from that one, that's gonna like kind of like to an extent break your heart. Whereas you could be like, I'm gonna apply to like 30 of these or 40 of these, right? And then you're not necessarily obsessed with one. Also, if you're rejected at a company once, it doesn't mean that you'll get rejected like the next time you go and the next time you go. I tell people this all the time. I was rejected at Microsoft twice before actually landing it on my third time. When I was rejected the first time, I was like, I was hurt, but I'm like, all right, I got to keep working. The second time, I was hurt again, but like, I'm going to work there someday. Here I am, right? But it's like you ultimately you got to keep going. It sucks. It really does suck. I really, really wish getting into tech and this whole interview process was better. It's like I think it's completely broken. I think people who are like recruiters don't necessarily have the best insight into what technology you need to know and all stuff like that. But I guess we have to like do the best we can, and we can't change that overnight, right?
Yeah.
It's sort of like a game that you kind of have to play. I really want to start learning OpenStack and been studying docs and YouTube videos and advice to get more hands-on experience with OpenStack. Thanks. Rishab, do you have any experience with OpenStack?
No.
I don't. I know it's been around for a minute. I know it's quite popular.
Yeah.
But I would say I would keep the advice like super generic in terms of like anything with like infrastructure related is like every kind of exercise that you see or tutorial that you see implemented on your own, right? Don't just like take the value out of just watching, because it doesn't really stick like that, right? I don't have much experience with OpenStack, but I am pretty sure you'll probably find a lot of GitHub examples on it, given its nature. Right? Just finished the Phoenix project. Rishab, have you read the Phoenix project? I think.
No.
Jeez, come on, man. I love this. I just bought the Unicorn Project, which I'm going to read after I finish the current book that I'm reading, which is like the software developer, I guess, views of the Phoenix Project. I love it. It's like everyone who has read it has been like, oh, I saw some of like the role that I've been like represented in this book. And it's like, it's fiction, right? But so it's not like theory, or it's like boring. It's not like, like a textbook or something like that. So it's pretty easy to go through, and it's a great story, and it teaches you DevOps principles through a story. So it's fantastic.
Nice. I just added it to my Christmas gift list.
There we go. Nilish asked, "What is your view on certifications like CKA, CKAD, CKS?" Rishab,
They're great.
this Kubernetes,
Yeah.
certified Kubernetes admin, right?
Yeah. They hold. I think they're pretty reputable when it comes to cloud certifications because they're also lab based. Um, I think they recently came out with CN Cloud Native Associate. I could be wrong if that's
Yes.
what it's called. But yeah, some kind of associate. So I've been looking at that and probably look at it next year and might sit for it. But yeah, I think they're great, especially because how like the popularity of containerization just in general is growing
Oh yeah.
every month.
if I had to get into like a new stack or new thing to focus
Mm-hmm.
on this year, like to get a job, I would focus on like Terraform, Docker, Kubernetes.
Yep.
That would be, I would go all in that. I want to study for one of those certifications too next year. Ah man, we got to pick. So we have to pick one, or maybe we'll pick a few, and then we'll just do these study group things, and that way we keep each
Okay.
other accountable. We'll see. Chat. What's everyone in the chat tell us right now a certification that we should do and we should create study groups around. Tell us right now, and if we get like a good amount of responses, maybe we'll put it together. Have to do the Linux Foundation System Administrator certification. I think that's what it stands for, something like that. To
Yeah.
work later this year, and it's 100% hands-on. Yeah, that's a tough one. I started studying for that one, but then I started interviewing for Microsoft, so I stopped studying and started focusing on the interviewing process. So, but I really I wanted to go for that one, and again, another certification that I want to study for. How do you feel about the new 305? That's the like the solution architect Azure.
Yeah.
What's it called? Building solutions or architecting solutions, something like that.
Yeah.
I was studying for the 303, 304 last year. I really like it. I've told people before that I'd like to move into solution architecting once I like sort of am done with advocacy at some point. I like planning stuff out and like diagramming things out and things like that, and being in the know of like literally every single cloud service, but not necessarily being an absolute expert, which is sort of like a benefit to solutions architecting. I know it's tough. I know it's one of the tougher ones. It's up there with like the 400, which is the DevOps one, because there's just like so much that you need to know. And then solution architecting in general is like usually people with years of experience, because like you need to know how to implement projects and stuff like that. Did you take the 304 or 303 or any of
No.
those? What about the AWS ones?
Yes.
Solutions architect?
Yeah. So I took the all three associates, so solutions architect, sysops, and the developer. Yeah.
How was the architect one?
I would like in terms of ranking,
Yeah, which one was the hardest?
I would say sysops was the hardest because I scored the lowest out
That's
of the all
That's a
out
good
of the all
gauge.
three. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. If you were to leave advocacy but stay with Azure, what would you want to do and why? Okay,
It's
so
a really nice question.
after I'm done with advocacy, I want to move into a PM role. I want to be on the Azure Functions team, the Azure Static Web Apps team, or the Container Apps team. And I was literally talking to Jeff like last week
Nice.
about like just like career stuff, and he's like, whenever you're ready, we can talk, right? That doesn't guarantee me a spot anywhere. I'm not going to say that, but I'm just saying like I know that my next step is going to be that, which you'll see like a lot of my content is moving into. We'll be moving more into like serverless cloud native, because that's like sort of the goal of those services, right? But yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to say that that's going to be like next year or the year after that or anything like that. I very much enjoy advocacy. I just got started. There's sort of a lot more that I want to try and experiment with. But I know once I am ready to make a move, it's going to be some sort of PM role in one of those services. So
Nice.
that's my answer. I'd like to have like a long-term goal, but that way I don't have to like worry about it or focus too much on it. It's like, okay, I'm free to like just be an advocate right now. What about you, Risha? Do you have any goals? Like, what's your like after your current role?
From DevOps engineer.
Yeah. What would you do after?
I have no idea. I just figured it out on the way. But yeah, like the long term, I do want to try advocacy, like as a role itself. I know I have been doing it kind of on my own. But yeah, I want to try it full time as a job and see how much I like it. And yeah, I think that's where I'll try to move in like the next year or next 2
some
years.
It's great. I think maybe not everyone, but like to some extent try advocacy, because like the sense of community and how involved you get with community because of it is just, it'll change your life. It'll change your career really. Do you have any client facing roles? And if not, do you see yourself in a role that does a higher level with C? Yeah. So like, I don't know. Well, I don't really now. Advocacy is more like with clients like individual developers and teams like that. But when I want to move into like PM, that'll be a lot more like C-suite executives and more like clients and stuff like that. But not at the moment really. Do you do any client facing kind of stuff?
I used to do it last year, not a lot, but yeah, in help desk it was
Oh
it
yeah,
was all client facing.
yeah, I forgot about that. Help desk is like the most client facing, and you
Yeah.
can work with C-suite executives on the help desk, which is like an entry level role, which I think is crazy.
Yep.
But yeah, totally right. In practicing for interviews, record yourself. If you think you suck, you know you need to work on it. Yeah, and if you hate recording, if you hate like listening back, because I know sometimes people hate watching themselves or listening to their voice. Even me, like after doing like multiple streams a week for like years, I still have this. But you got to get over it, and yeah, like watch yourself back. Like if you if you feel like you look awkward, then chances are you might be. So like work on it. But this is a great tip. Like just grab your phone, record yourself, and then keep going. Citizen Lou, coming from a web developer background, should I get into help desk in order to transition to cloud? You don't, I mean, so the reason we recommend help desk is for people who have like no tech experience or no IT background at all. If you have a web developer background, you could leverage heavy that already development like skill set and go into like cloud development. Try things like cloud native applications, like learning how to build applications from scratch that will like benefit from cloud. So you can think of like microservices, backing services and stuff like that, or serverless, things like that too, or like a mix of all those things.
Yeah.
You wouldn't necessarily have to start from help desk. But
yeah, I think it is more of a suggestion when it's your first job in tech.
Yeah.
Whereas I think you already have a good foundation when it comes to like web development and how the web works. So you very well can leverage that already existing knowledge and move up from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you might even have a team that you have access to that does a lot of cloud stuff. Like see if you can like, I don't know, find some wiggle room there to work on some stuff that they've been doing, or even just like watch that kind of stuff. But yeah, leverage your existing skill set already. And then if later on you want to move into something that has nothing to do with development, but has more to do with cloud, like you can transition into that. But right now your goal is to like kind of use what you have going for you, right? How do you avoid burnout relief, stress while working? That I think that was a great topic that I was talking with Scooter on like our interview that we did the other week. A lot of it is just, you have to force yourself to get away from work, especially in this remote world where, your desktop is like right there, and like the laptop that you use for work or whatever you use for work is also like right there. I personally live 8 blocks from the office that like the Microsoft office that we have here in New York City. So I can like days that I want to like, oh, okay, I need to really hyper focus and not be near like my gaming PC or not be near like the TV and the couch. Like I'll go to the office. But I know some people don't want to do that or don't have the ability to do that, whatever. Also have like my partner who's like very, very strict with like, all right now we're doing this, right now we're gonna like talk, we're gonna like catch up on each other's days, and like she'll kind of like force me away from work, which is great too.
Nice.
Yeah, but it's like it's hard, it's really hard, especially when like Rishab and I, like it's like our day jobs, but also like what we like to do as a hobby has like something to do with work. It helps that like the stress thing, it really helps that we enjoy what we do for work. And then like, though I'm stressed, I never like hate it. I'm like very, very grateful to be in this position. So like, it's not like I don't get stressed. I definitely do get stressed, but it's like, it helps that we feel like fulfilled. But yeah, like for having like these things that like force you to get away are like putting those in place kind of like help. I don't know. Do you have any other tips?
Yeah, I think for me, the physical boundaries themselves work a lot better because, as you can still see, like I don't know if you can see, my bed is right at the back. And so as soon as I wake up, the first thing is I push in the power button on my PC.
You just roll off straight to the button.
Yeah. So yeah, and especially from like working from home, it has been like the balance itself it has been hard. Like I would find myself working late, even though my day has been done, and I think that comes from just us loving our work, I guess.
Mhm.
I do happen to have some stress when it comes to like outages, things not working the way they should be. But yeah, um, I'm trying to work towards having that balance, and have like tried to limit myself. Like I
Yeah.
don't sit. I only try to sit 8 to 10 hours at my desk, and then try to spend it across other areas of my house or apartment.
Yeah.
And then I usually try to sign up myself for like some kind of
Oh, league. Yeah, yeah.
a
That's a good thing
league.
that you do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been playing volleyball this winter, and then I played soccer this summer, which is
Mhm.
really great, I think. But yeah, no, we
Yeah.
do. Even though we don't seem like stressed, but we do have stress
Yeah.
certain times.
Absolutely. Yeah,
It's just
definitely.
about finding the right balance, I think.
Are there any good coffee alternatives when studying such long hours?
I'm a huge fan of coffee.
I am too.
Um, so we are not the best people to ask this question.
Tea, maybe? Tea
Yeah, I was gonna
helps
say
as
tea.
well. I really don't know anything else really. To be fair, I only drink like a cup of coffee
Oh yeah.
a day, but I'll have it like for the whole day kind of thing. Like I
Hmm.
sip on it. I don't really recommend you. Okay, so all right, let me not tell you what I recommend. Let me tell you what I do for myself. I would much rather have like 2 hours of focused study time and then I get a good night's sleep versus like just being like sort of scattered and trying to study for like 6 hours or something like that. This works for me obviously because I have like my schedule in place and I can like move things around and I can like put 2 hours like after work or something like that. But I find like when I'm sleeping like well, like I can just like get more out of like 2 hours than when I'm not sleeping well. I think that. So like if you're like tired and like you don't want to drink more coffee, maybe you need to like work on your sleep or something like that. I'm not a doctor. I'm not here to tell you. This is like kind of like just what I do for myself. So, take that for what it is. I know of cloud platforms. I'm trying to figure out which route to go. What is the background in AWS, Azure, GCP? Like which one is growing more? AWS has the biggest market share, then Azure, then GCP. Which one is growing more? I think they're like pretty steady, really. I think
Yeah.
so. They're pretty
And
steady.
the growth when it comes to like AWS being the biggest, that is something that is global. So check your like local regions and stuff and see which one is the biggest there.
Yeah.
Because yeah, here like in my city, Azure is the biggest one. Even though like our company decided to use AWS. But yeah,
Yeah.
do your research, and if that's where you're trying to make the decision is which cloud provider you're going to pick.
Absolutely. Look for which one has more job opportunities for you. In my case, it was also Azure. But if you're worried about like long term, none of these are going anywhere anytime soon. So if you
No.
learn any of them, you're going to be fine.
Hmm.
Like, don't worry about that. I'm a college student in a cloud program and I need to land an internship for my final semester. Never been hired before. How do I get my feet in the water? Uh, Rishab, you have some experience with like school internship programs, I think.
Yeah. So most of it was driven by the institute itself or the school itself.
Mhm.
But I didn't get any placement with the 40 companies that came on campus. So when I say placement, I'm referring to internship. That's what they call it at our institute. So yeah, I didn't get any offers for the internships with the on-campus companies. So I had to find a company on my own now in this small city where only I think 10, 15 tech companies exist. But yeah, fortunately, one of my professors, he was in touch with a company and he reached out to them and like, oh, I do have a student who is looking to do an internship for 2 months and he's really good with this and that. He advocated for me. And they're like, sure, we would like to have him. And I send them my resume, we jump on a call, go for an interview, and I was selected. So make sure to use those resources, like your connections with profs. I'm pretty sure you might have some kind of on-campus thing. Again, this was pre-COVID, so things have changed now. So I don't assume people like companies coming on campus and recruiting people for internships. But if you're struggling with just applying for jobs and are new to creating resume and stuff, Gwen and Chloe did a really good series on how to get into careers and stuff. So they have, I think 6 or 7 videos covering various topics from resume building, LinkedIn profile, cover letters, whiteboarding,
a bunch of stuff.
phone screening. So yeah, go check it out if this is you're really new to the tech hiring side.
Yeah. I would say the way you asked this question, it kind of seems like it's completely on you to find an internship, which seems a little weird to me. I feel like if you're being sort of forced to land an interview for your final semester, they would provide some sort of resources. So I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying that might be available, like Rishab mentioned. I know a lot of time universities will have IT sort of departments that you might be able to leverage there, or community colleges will often have these internships that are available, or maybe there's a local library or a clinic. I know sometimes they will offer internships to students too. Because it's cheaper or free to an extent. Not saying that's right. I'm just saying that's a thing, right? Sometimes big tech companies will also have internship programs that you can look into. Not saying that it's easy to land. I'm just saying those are possibilities as well. All right.
Yeah, local schools and hospitals are also great. These two our local schools and hospitals were the one which hired most amount of interns when I was in college. So
yeah, and those internships can turn into full-on jobs, which are great for getting started. So you never know. Scooter says CKA, AWS SysOps, and Terraform. I'd be interested in the Terraform and the CKA one. For I think they were starting to mention certifications to study for. Kubernetes, RHCSA, that is hard. Terraform, that's another one for Terraform. Jeremy, Gwen, let me know when you want to make the jump. Maybe we'll all come together and put together a little study group or something. Here's another one for Terraform and CKA.
CKA.
That's another CKA one. I heard SysOps was the hardest. I skipped it for the solutions architect. Yeah, I've heard it's the hardest too in terms of all the ones.
Yeah, and for me it was I haven't used the amount of services that were involved in SysOps in my day-to-day job, whereas solutions architect and developer associate, they both were the amount of services that I used daily were really resonated with what was on the exam.
Yeah. Dennis says, Gwyneth, just wanted to say that I'm partially marking out that you acknowledged my question on camera. I don't understand what that means, but okay. But just wanted to ask a follow-up question. How would you go from an engineer to an architect? Okay, so the number one thing for architects, you know what? We have a Scooter who's a solutions architect. So probably if you can answer, or Scooter, if you want to join us, we're probably going to be on for maybe another 20 minutes or so. If you want to join us, let us know. I'll send you a link. We could talk a little bit more about solutions architecting. But I think the number one thing with solution architecting is you have to have years in projects of experience under your belt, because you're the person that people are going to say, hey, how do we build this? And we have nothing. How do you put this together? And you're going to be you know what? Let's start from here. This is what we need. Might be the teams that we need. These might be the resources that we need. What does this look like? And they're okay, let's start to build it out. And then you start think of an architect of a house, right? Do you think that you could just build a house from or plan out a house from scratch? No, you must have had some experience, sort of being part of building a house before, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a lot very similar to that. So it's for me, it's going to be just years of practice and being on projects and documenting things and implementing projects, whether it be an administration, on the DevOps side, on the development side, whatever it might be. I think the good thing about that is any area of cloud that you're in, or any of solutions that you're in already, is going to be experienced towards that. Ultimately, you just have to be seen as the subject matter expert to whatever platform you're using to build your solutions in, right? It's just a thing that comes with years. I think, Rishab, were you on that stream where someone was hey, my entry level job was in solution architecting, and we were what? Were you on that?
I was, and I also I've talked to people who are a solutions architect and that is their first job, coming into like the tech space, which I think is, I don't know what comment I should make, but it is interesting to see people that have no experience or less experience when it comes to architecting solutions. Because to me, so when I talk as a DevOps engineer to one of the senior solutions architect, like he knows everything, or he or she knows everything, and there would be times that I can't figure out some part of the pipeline and some requirement that an agent needs or a VM needs, and I would be like, hey, I'm stuck with this, and I would have like a lot of follow-up questions on why we are doing this and
Yeah.
what is the best way to do this, and they would have answers to that. And I don't see that happening when you don't have
Yeah, when
a
you
lot
don't
of
have the
experience,
experience. Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
supporting multiple apps.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's just my take on this. I don't want to like cause a controversy or something.
Yeah, I want to tell you that you can't go for it. I think
Oh yeah.
one of the people were like, I had an internship and then I leveraged that, which is great too. I just feel like like the amount that you need to know for like an architect role is pretty. You just need to know a lot, right? Solution architect group study. Okay, that's a good one too. I would like that one too. I like that. I like that. Someone says thanks. I appreciate the coffee reply. By the way, 1 cup goals. And I only got into coffee at my first like actual tech job, which was my sysadmin job. And everyone would like before stand up would like gather around the coffee machine
Oh
and
yeah.
get their own cup. And because I didn't want to feel left out, and also I noticed that they would all like chat about like casually about projects that they were working on. And I'm like, hey, I want to hear about that stuff. Let me get into coffee. And then I got into coffee because of that.
Yeah, it was same with me.
It's like
I
office
got it
culture.
when technical, the support position that I was working in, and they would like go stand by the machine for like 10 to 20 like 10 to 20 minutes and make their coffees and chat
Yeah.
about stuff, and I'm like, oh,
I
it's a
want to hear.
FOMO. Yeah, I want to
And
hear.
we were talking about this, how like with remote you kind of like miss out, for better or for worse, you kind of miss out on these opportunities when you're getting started or you're starting in a new role, or like maybe even just completely new to the field. You kind of like miss out on these opportunities. Like I remember like coming early, staying during lunch, or like staying late because I would get more FaceTime with my boss, and at that point with the CEO, and I would hear about like these new projects that they wanted to work on, or these new like business moves that they were making, just because I was like there, and I became like really close with them, and they would like trust me, and they would put me on more projects because they're like, yeah, Gwen's putting in the work and that kind of stuff. And like you can't really replicate that remote. I know remote has like a tons of other benefits, like no commute, like you have more time to yourself and stuff like that is great. I'm just thinking like for me, like I benefited so much from actually being in an office. But I'm like not saying like it's good or bad for other people. I'm just saying like that's kind of like a comment I wanted to make. An alternative to coffee is mate, a South American drink. Oh, I think I know about this. It's like a brown powder as well. It tastes pretty good. My dad used to be super into that. It's hard if you don't have the experience. Yeah. See, Scooter is solution architect at Red Hat, was mentioning it. It's really hard to land an architecting role if you don't have the like many projects under your belt. If you're a recent college grad, Red Hat has a junior solution architect program. They teach you all things. I'm like, ooh, I didn't know that. Wow. There you go. Take a look at that. Red Hat has a junior solution architect program. They teach you all things in 6 to 12 months. Very good. I will also mention that sometimes, like when you're like applying to roles, if you're a recent college grad, like there's a filter that will say recent college grad, and they're like roles specific to that. Like
Yeah.
something helpful. But that I guess that only works if you are a recent college grad. What's your opinion of Cybrary? I still signed up for the Azure training. Cybrary. Have you used Cybrary?
I've heard a name
I've heard of
once
it
or
too.
twice.
Never used
Yeah,
it.
I've never used it. I think I heard it on a podcast somewhere as a sponsor.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
Darknet Diaries, maybe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. Because I think it's more security focused.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, the
I
leading
don't know.
cybersecurity. Yeah.
I don't know. I think a lot of these places have trials. Use a trial, like use the heck out of a trial, and get a feel for the content, and then go
Yeah.
from there.
And
Right?
a good
'Cause
place to search for reviews, I'm just gonna
Reddit.
suggest is Reddit.
Yeah, I Reddit reviews all the time. Yeah, because I know like people could be real on there. Engineers configure and don't design. Architects design and don't configure. See, so generally this is the standard, but like with cloud, because with it being like so generic still, like like when I was in my cloud engineering gig, I was designing, I was implementing,
Yeah.
I was full stack developing. So I'm not gonna say like this is ideally how it should be. Like your role should be able to tell you, but it's more like it's kind of like a company basis kind of thing.
Yeah. I think it also depends on the size of the company. Like companies might not have dedicated teams for like separate for just architecture and then a separate who are like operations engineers.
Yeah.
So
Let's see here. We answered the Cybrary one. Here we go. What do you think is the best way to promote yourself for employers like GPS who got into Microsoft because of YouTube? Yeah. So I think LinkedIn is probably like the low hanging fruit one. It's like have a solid LinkedIn profile, and then anything that you kind of like create, like share on LinkedIn, like if it's a blog post or stuff like that. If you want to write blog posts, use something like Dev2, or use Hashnode, which are very popular developer, like IT focused platforms. If you are more a video person, like I am, use YouTube or Twitch, and maybe you can stream like studying or stuff like that, or like create short tutorials and things. I would say that like when it comes to like video content, the more specific, like for example, like my first videos were like a lot on like specific scenarios with Azure functions, and that definitely helped me stick out because it was like a niche, but it was also like when you think of people who are already in the roles, they're not looking into like, well, sometimes they will be looking like introduction or full on courses, but like it's very, very specific what they Google for. So for you, in order to like sort of pop up in these searches, like for example, mine was like how to configure Azure Key Vault with Azure Functions, or instead of being like an introduction to Azure Functions, right? Because an engineer who might be like, oh, like looking, I don't know, like what finds sort of like, I need to figure out how to implement this. I found this video. Oh, this person is great. Like, let me like see what else, other kind of content they kind of have. You kind of like start to build sort of like a name for you and like a following. In terms of like sharing, share your stuff on Reddit, share your stuff on Twitter, share your stuff on Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok. I started doing like TikToks. These things are like taking off. Like the algorithm on TikTok is crazy. If you like video stuff, I would recommend like trying kind of giving them all a shot. You don't have to like become an influencer where you like do things every single week or stuff like that. No, I really liked it, which is why at one point I was making almost like 2 YouTube videos a week. But it's really up to you. Like leverage it more as like a tool than like some like another like full on job, right?
yeah.
But yeah, like Rishab, do you have any? I know you're a little bit more invested in like written content, like blogs and stuff like that. I don't know if you've learned anything that you can share from there.
Yeah, I think just being part of the community helps a lot because you talk to a lot of people, you make connections. I know it sounds cliche when people say network, but I think just being actively like you are in this chat right now, and similarly, like I don't know, Twitter, Discord, like Gwen said, TikTok, um, is a good one too. But yeah, just being active in 1 or 2 communities helps you a lot because you meet and network with people that kind of have the same ideology because you all work, you're like trying to work in tech or getting started in tech. And I have landed interviews at Amazon, Microsoft, and Google. I have applied to them in the past and never landed interviews. The only reason I landed them was because I knew someone.
Yeah,
Um,
someone to refer you.
someone
Mm-hmm.
referred.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the times it was a hiring manager or the direct manager that I would be working under. So yeah, that really helps, and especially with these bigger companies, you got to see that there are thousands of applicants every day.
Every day. Yeah, you gotta stick
Um,
out.
yeah. So if you're having like, especially with me, like with the resume, it was really hard for me to stick out. So I think in that sense, the community aspect of it, if you're putting out content, could be if video is not for you, put out blogs,
Mm-hmm.
put out tweets. You can create cheat sheets and get
Cheat sheets
active.
are great. Like people
Yep.
love cheat sheets.
Hmm.
Absolutely. I would also say every cloud platform has some sort of program. Like Microsoft has Microsoft MVPs.
Oh yeah.
AWS has the community builders and the
Hmm.
heroes. GCP has the Google Cloud Developer Experts, something like
Yeah.
that.
GDEs. Yeah.
GDEs, something like that. Try to get into those programs. It's hard. There's no guarantee. It takes a lot of work, but the network that you're introduced because of those programs,
Mm.
the resources that you get because of those programs. I was at Microsoft MVP before. Met a lot of people because of that, and it helped a lot to land my role at Microsoft. And it's it doesn't cost to apply to any of these programs. You really just have to like put in a lot of work to get noticed and get nominated and things like that.
Yeah.
But they are so worth it, absolutely so worth it, right?
For sure. And it gets you credibility too, if you like.
Yeah.
Especially if you're starting out, I think it helps with credibility a lot.
Someone asked for Chloe's channel. Let me find it while
yeah,
Chloe.
I think it's in regards to that series I was talking about.
Yeah.
With
See if I can find it. The link to it specifically. I know she did recently a tweet. Oh, here we go. Copy link. Will that take us there? Yeah. Okay. So here's this playlist of a bunch of stuff in terms of interviewing and things like that. It's kind of long. There we go. I wish we had like a shorter link, but here we go. All right, let's answer these last ones and then we'll cut it because it's been like an hour of like nonstop talking. Mm-hmm. If someone actually followed to be a cloud engineer from the Learn to Cloud guide, would you interview them, ask about their journey? Yeah, I think it's still relatively new, so I don't know any. I've known people who have used the guide to sort of like kind of get a feel for where they're at, and people have told me that they've landed jobs, and some of it was thanks to the guide. I just don't know anyone who's like followed it from scratch to a role, but I would love to like talk to them at some point.
For sure.
And see. But yeah, our goal is really to just sort of like provide and not necessarily like,
we are less focused to be an agency that lands people jobs.
Yeah.
And we are more focused to have a tool available for people that are willing to or are looking to start into cloud and are lost, or DevOps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because getting hired is a whole field on its own. But like knowing the skills is half the work, right? I always say this, like if there's two people with the same skill set, but one person is able to communicate better, have better people skills, they're going to get it over the other one. That's just, right. Mm-hmm. So, there's like, it's only 50% of the work. Let's do this last one. Soft skills and networking can get you in the doors you didn't even know existed. Yeah. I didn't know that I could land a role here. I know I wanted to, but like over like a year, almost 2 years of just like kind of like meeting people and kind of like connecting the dots and like, oh, this person introduced me to this person introduced me to this person. And then I met two people at Microsoft who ultimately ended up referring me to the role that I am now. But this happened like months even before I thought of like interviewing for this role, right? So yeah, you never really know. And this applies to not just tech. This is like just life in general. You never really know who you're going to meet. So it's kind of be like a decent person, be kind, and like you'll never know where it's going to take you, right? All right, Rishab, we have some stuff to figure out. We got to figure out the next date for this one. I really like Sundays, but I know, does anyone in the chat kind of like recommend any other days that we could try streaming? I know Thursdays were very popular as well. Maybe we could push it to like an hour later or an hour earlier. I don't know. Like chat, you want to tell us like what kind of days work best. I like Sundays. I know Thursdays also work well. I don't know any other days that we've tried. And then we also have to figure out our first certification that we're going to study for. Maybe we'll do study groups. Maybe we'll do streams. Maybe we'll do like 2-hour streams like twice a week, something, just studying some sort of certification.
Yeah.
Something like that. But like in terms of these streams where we're just answering questions about career and cloud and stuff like that, we'll stick to like 2 a month. We'll do the next one probably the beginning of January because holidays are coming. Everyone needs to take some time off. But yeah, these cloud chats we'll do like twice a month. Sundays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we have Sundays is great, Wednesdays, Thursday nights, and Saturdays are awesome. See, Saturday nights are tough. So Saturday nights are great for like the winter because it's like I'm not doing anything. Rishab, I don't know what you do on Saturday nights, but then like in the spring, it's like I'm trying to go out. It's kind of hard to like stay in. But we'll see, right? But yeah, I think man, so next time maybe we'll try a Wednesday or a Thursday night for the next one. Around the same time, but we'll try like we'll pick one of those days and we'll see what happens. But yeah, everyone, thank you for hanging out. Appreciate you guys. We appreciate all y'all for hanging out, and thanks for the videos. Keeps me motivated and inspired. And yeah, keep studying. We'll see. Check out learntocloud.guide. Rishab, do you have any videos coming up or anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
DevOps. What is
DevOps?
DevOps, and what do I do as a DevOps engineer?
Cool. So Rishab's channel is what's your YouTube? I think you have. Let me. I feel like I have it here. All right, here's that's Rishab's YouTube. If you're interested in DevOps content, make sure to follow Rishab. For me, for the rest of this month, I think I might be trying to put out maybe some Bicep subs, infrastructure as code stuff. I'm not 100% sure.
Nice.
But then check out my TikTok. I'm going in on TikTok. So it's at made by GPS. But yeah, everyone else, that's it. We'll see you in the next